right, guys. This is the Imperfect Together podcast with Zach and Chris, where we don't have all the answers and we're not perfect, but we try to answer them.
Sound like a robot. We don't have all the answers.
Yeah, we don't have all the answers, but we'll try to answer them to the best that we can, but we are imperfect. That was a pretty good intro, right?
If you're a robot, it was great.
Yeah.
Can you do the robot? Dance moves?
I don't want to do that. How was your weekend?
I can't do it.
I don't care. All right, so I have a question for you. What's something that mattered to you in junior high that you mistakenly thought everyone else had? Does that make sense?
No.
Something
that mattered to me that I mistakenly thought everybody else had?
Yeah, like what's something that mattered to you the most in junior high? So think of that, that you thought that everyone else, what's the word?
It mattered to everybody else too?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
So we all liked it?
Yeah. That you thought everyone, let's say everyone.
How do you make it a question so confusing?
Let's say you really like okra in middle school, and you.
Why don't you give me an example?
A perfect example for me is that this goes way before middle school. I loved wrestling. I still love wrestling. Wrestling is my favorite sport.
WWE?
Oh yeah, WWE.
Yeah. WWF?
Yeah, but I watched it.
WCW?
I watched it when I was a little kid, and I
watched it some as a kid.
I was so fascinated by it, and then when I got to middle school-ish, all of a sudden it was it was close. It was like my 8th grade. All of a sudden it wasn't cool to like wrestling anymore, and so whenever it wasn't cool to watch wrestling anymore, I secretly watched it by myself. and I would tell people, it's like, I don't watch wrestling, but every Monday night I would not do that.
So you never gave up being a wrestling fan despite all your friends telling you it was stupid.
Yeah, but I thought that everyone in middle school liked it, but I was the only one. And then actually it wasn't until college where another close friend of mine, we would both leave this popular dorm room on Monday every Monday, and then it was kind of weird because I would go and then he would go, or he would go and I would go, and then people were like, "You and Zach always leave on a Monday. Like, that's so weird that you guys would leave." And then we found out that we both like
from
wrestling.
Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and then because it was Monday Night Raw, and we bonded over.
So you both secretly liked wrestling.
Yeah.
But nobody knew it.
Yeah.
And so then you started watching it together.
Yeah. And then we started watching
it together. So my question would be, how many other people who said in junior high that wrestling isn't cool, they all went and still watched it too?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot. Were you one of those kids?
Here's my experience with wrestling. I did watch it some as a kid. And then didn't watch it for a while. But for whatever reason, the church I was in, we started like pay-per-view nights. I don't know what they were called. And I don't know if anybody actually cared. But we started having like wrestling parties at my house.
Gosh, I would love to do that here.
So like everybody would just bring a few bucks, and like the whole student group would just show up at my house. And we just have a big old party. Some people would be watching it. Some people would be just hanging out, eating, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like the social hangout. I don't know how much people actually cared about wrestling, but we had a party for it.
Man, I would love to do that.
So it was fun.
We need to think into that. I have the WWE Network, which I have access to every pay-per-view.
Okay.
It's something to think about.
Maybe we should see if we have any students that like wrestling. We'll have a wrestling party.
Even
if they don't, we'll come just because we're having a party.
Yeah. All right, so that question was confusion. Maybe this one will help you. Which is, if you were stranded on an island, what would you bring?
A cell phone.
That's so dumb. Why would you bring a cell phone?
Because I could call for help.
You wouldn't bring your wife? You hear that, Tammy?
No, I would call for help. She doesn't want to be stranded on an island. I would call for help and then get back to my wife.
No, there's no cell phone service on this island.
Says who? You didn't say that.
I'm telling you now, there's no cell phone service.
Then I would need to bring something to help me start a fire because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be very good at clicking rocks together and starting fires.
Okay.
So if I got to be able to cook or keep warm,
Yeah.
is the island warm?
Would you bring anything personal? Like maybe a picture of your family, or maybe like
Listen,
a comb of your daughters.
No, at that point, you're trying to survive. You got to stay alive to get back to your family. You're going to have to burn that picture just so you can have fire to stay warm.
That's mean.
Right. Well, would my wife rather me die with the picture in my hand
Yes.
or stay alive and get back to her?
I'm sure you could burn a leaf or something like that. I don't think a
You
picture
never
is
know.
necessary.
It depends. You keep changing the rules of this island, so I don't know.
There's leaves.
What
in
would you
it.
bring?
I don't know. Probably a Bible because I'm a super Christian.
Oh, whatever. You would not.
I would.
You would end up burning the Bible.
Do you know how many pages?
For warmth.
Do you know how many pages there are?
There's a lot of pages for warmth. You gotta memorize it.
Yeah, I'll memorize it like that book of Eli, where when he's like, "Oh, I've been deaf the whole time," but I mean not deaf, but blind the whole time, and you didn't know it until the end of the movie, and then he was like, "But I haven't seen the whole Bible." It's pretty good. Denzel Washington's the lead, and
I'm sure it's a good movie.
And he's like, "I gotta save this book or whatever," and then you find out that he was blind the whole time. Okay, it's interesting.
And the book's not even in the Bible.
Huh?
The book's not even in the Bible. Just a book.
It's not.
There's a lot of debate on that book, but anyways, that's not.
What are you talking about? The Book of Eli?
Yes.
The Book of Eli is a movie about.
It's based off of a book.
It's about
that a lot of people think should be in the Bible.
It's about apocalyptic.
It's kind of like the Book of James.
It's about apocalyptic.
It's like Revelation.
It's about listen. It's about It's about apocalyptic.
Nobody cares.
It's about apocalyptic world, and the guy has the only Bible left. He has
but
the Bible, like the Bible.
The Book of Eli is not the Bible.
No, we're not. The Eli is the guy. It's his name. His name's Eli.
What I'm telling you is that movie, I'm pretty sure, is based off of a book.
No, it's not.
Okay, we'll get back to this one. We'll search
the
that.
Book of Eli. You think back when Jesus
Zach,
was born, there was an apocalyptic and there were cigarette butts and all this stuff? No, there was not.
Okay, I haven't seen the movie.
You got it.
I'm just telling you, there's a Book of Eli. There's a lot of discrepancy over with people, but whatever.
Well, this is not about that. This is about
obviously
a guy. This is about a
Hey,
guy
I don't care
Eli,
about the movie. Let's keep moving.
And he has a Bible, and then everyone's trying to get this Bible from him because they don't like Bibles.
You realize this all started because you tried to act like a super Christian and say you would bring a Bible.
Yeah. And so everyone everyone is trying to get this Bible from him because they don't want Jesus's word to come out, and then they finally get the Bible, and then they find out that it's in Braille, and they're like, "Oh man!" And then Denzel Washington's like, "I know the whole Bible in my head," and so he's recapturing everything in the Bible. And then there you go.
So if you got to that point, then you wouldn't need to bring the Bible. You could actually bring something else to keep you alive.
Yeah, but I'm not there. I can't.
I'm not there either.
Yeah, I'm not there. But I have a question. When things are personal to us, so think of all the things that are personal to us.
Okay.
It's easy to think that it matters to everyone. Do you believe that? Yes or no?
Yes, because if it's personal to us, then we may not know any different that it's not actually personal to somebody else. Depends on what you're talking about, I guess.
Like for instance, I like wrestling. I know that you don't like wrestling. It's very personal to me.
Yeah, so you assume everybody likes wrestling. Yeah. No, I think we can tend to do that a lot. I think we also know that not everybody likes everything that we like. So I think it just depends on.
Yeah.
Like my daughter, she may think that everybody likes to dance, but
yeah,
not everybody
I like
likes
to dance. Do you like to dance?
I like to dance with my daughter, but I'm not dancing with Jesus like you've asked me before.
Yeah. I don't want to get on that road. Yeah, it just shows you how much of a Christian I am because I'm willing to dance with Jesus. And if Jesus was on this dance floor and he's saying, "Hey,
Hey,
Chris,
man.
let's go.
All I'm saying
let's do a boogie.
is
And you're not going to want to do a
Philippians
boogie?
2 talks about humility, so it doesn't show what kind of a true Christian you really are.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah. All right. I have another question.
Okay.
Do you make assumptions about people by what matters to you?
Assumptions based off of what matters to me. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of similar to the same question?
No, not really.
I'm probably going to say yes, I do.
Yeah. So what matters to you the most?
Are we asking, am I going to assume that what matters to me also matters to other people?
Yeah. So what matters to you the most?
Like in
general.
in all of life?
In all of life.
My faith.
My faith. All right. So your faith.
And living that out.
All right. So
now, that's not always easy, but I would say that's what matters to me most.
All right. So do you make assumptions about people by what matters to you? So by...
Do I assume other people think their faith matters most? No.
Yeah.
I think I know better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say we tend to hang out with people that are like-mind us and not so much,
Yeah.
The other way?
Yeah, you want to connect with, like, we all want a place to belong, and we usually find a place to belong with people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is sometimes we keep it too narrow like that. Like, you can belong with anybody if it's the right group.
Yeah.
But I think being like-minded helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it could be the opposite, right? It could be, you could feel out of place or misunderstood. I mean, it could kind of go
I think
bad.
that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody likes walking into a new place.
Yeah.
If you don't know anybody.
Yeah. So while we continue this couple week series about Zacchaeus, I want to first talk about Zacchaeus for a second. We all know that he was a wee little man. He was a wee little man in a fig tree, right? He was in a sycamore fig tree, right? I think it's in the Bible in Luke.
You're just trying to remember
sycamore
the song.
Fig tree. No, that's. I don't think.
I have no idea if it was a fig tree.
I believe it's a fig tree. Do you know what kind of fig tree? Do you know what a fig tree is?
Sycamore is right.
All right.
The song says sycamore
while we're
tree.
talking, if we could put up a fig tree of right here, of what a fig tree is.
I hope it's one of these little trees that there's no way you're climbing in.
No. It's a fig.
Actually, I know my dad has a fig tree in his yard.
Oh, well, how about
they're
that?
not very tall.
Yeah, but they have a lot of branches. It's easy to hide in it.
Yeah, it is that.
Mm-hmm. So this wee little man, this little hobbit man, went into a tree. He was a tax collector.
Yep.
So he was a wee little tax collector.
Yep.
He was just
hated by everybody.
Hated by everyone. And this guy probably was like, man, I'm small, so I'm going to steal all this money. Right? This is the book of
See,
that.
now you're making assumptions.
This is the book of
You're
that.
assuming that he wanted to steal money just because he's small.
I mean, we talked about this last week, but
we did not talk about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked
story.
about the tax and that, the government say, all right, 10% from the farm, we need to take that. But then, Zacchaeus, wee little man, would go, actually, I'm going to ask for 20.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about him taking
stealing
it because he's small.
Well, I mean,
his stature has nothing to do with it.
I mean, I'm assuming if he's a wee little man could be.
He needs more money? No,
yeah.
he was just a thief. He was just a thief.
He needs to get...
Doesn't matter if he was 8 feet tall.
He needs to get new legs.
Hey, man, hating on us short people.
I'm small.
I know you are.
I'm tiny. But Jesus said to Zacchaeus, he goes, come down immediately. I'm going to stay at your house today. And from what I got out of that is that Jesus made it personal with an unpopular tax collector. People didn't like him. People made assumptions with him about him, just like how I made assumptions about why I think he stole money. But Jesus didn't follow their opinion. Jesus made his own opinion about Zacchaeus.
Right. Did you know?
And connected with him personally.
Did you know that? So he was Jewish, and he worked for Rome. So he was looked at as a traitor and a sellout because he was stealing from all the Jewish people by their money. But the Romans didn't like him because he was Jewish.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like this stuck in the middle. Like, you know, if you actually look into his life, you kind of like, now he brought everything on himself.
Yeah.
But if we were actually to step into his shoes, he's in a pretty rough spot.
Yeah. Like Jesus saw Zacchaeus as a person while everyone else, all of us, saw him as...
We just assume, oh, you're a stupid tax collector, we don't like you. And we're not going to be friends with you because you stole from me, you jerk.
Yeah. And so with that, I have another thing I want to say. Jesus knows what matters to us, and he truly cares about who we are deep down. Do you really believe that? Do you believe that?
Yes.
How? Why? Explain.
Jesus matters. What'd you say?
Jesus knows what matters. Jesus knows what matters to us, and he truly cares about who we are deep down. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think that's evident by him actually coming to earth.
Yeah.
And dying and living a life as a human. I mean, you all throughout Scripture it talks about how much Jesus knows the hairs on our heads and knows them. So if he knows all that and cares about all that, he knows what matters to us. And so you look at the story of Zacchaeus. One, he knew his name. That's what we talked about last week. But this week, I mean, you look at the fact that he chose to see him as a person. And he chose to say, you know what? Everybody else sees him through this particular lens of tax collector, he's a thief and a traitor and a sellout, and that's all we see. But Jesus was able to see him as a human being and see that like he still wanted a place to belong. He still was like he was lonely and hurt. Yeah. And yes, he brought a lot of it on himself, but there's still forgiveness. Yeah. And he was able to extend that where nobody else would because we're selfish people.
Yeah.
Right? So because of that, I think that shows that Jesus cares about what matters to us. He cares about what mattered to Zacchaeus by actually inviting him. He invited himself over to Zacchaeus' house. In our world today, we look at that like, okay, Jesus, you're kind of a jerk. You can't just invite yourself over.
Yeah, he probably hasn't cleaned.
But in that
probably
time,
haven't fluffed his pillows, vacuumed the
they probably only sat on pillows.
Yeah.
But in that time, it was actually like it was a sign of friendship. Like you didn't go to somebody's house unless they it was an honor to have somebody to your house. And so that's why he gladly accepted the invitation. Mm-hmm. So Jesus completely flipped the script by saying, look, I want to be your friend. Where everybody else that's all around here that is coming to see me has their own reasons they want to see me. I want to come see you because I know what matters to you and I want to be your friend, even though they all hate you. Yeah. And then it made everybody else have to reconsider. It's kind of like a slap in the face, like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have been a jerk to him, even though he deserved it.
Do you think so we talk about like how the crowd of people brought these assumptions with people, and this crowd of people had assumptions with Zacchaeus. Do you think, as Christians, we still struggle with that now?
All the time.
Yeah,
all the time. We're not very good at seeing people the way Jesus does.
Yeah,
we are good at seeing people through our own lens, through our own hurts, through our own whatever
sinful nature. Yeah,
and so naturally we're going to assume stuff about them. Yeah. Right? I still do it. I'd probably do that to you sometimes.
Yeah. Another question: when we think of ministry, when we think of how we do ministry strategy, and all that stuff. Is ministry? Do you want it to be comfortable or uncomfortable?
I think to be effective is probably a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not good at just going out and just talking to people about Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. If it comes up in conversation, sure. Mm-hmm. But to just go up and talk to somebody about it, or to be kind to somebody, even though I don't like them.
Because you assume something different.
Right. You look at, okay, let's put Zacchaeus as if he was a junior high student.
That makes sense because of his stature.
Exactly. He's the same height as the junior high student. He was basically a bully, right?
Yeah.
And he did whatever he wanted. So Zacchaeus is the big bully in school. And Jesus said, you know what? I know you're the bully, but I can see that you're hurting underneath. And I'm going to go love you anyways. That is not comfortable.
Yeah.
So I have to look at what I have to do as a junior high student. I have to be willing to say, you know what? I don't like you very much, but my job is to love people. And so I'm going to love you even though that is not going to be easy to do. So it's, a lot of times we think church, I immediately went to talking to people about Jesus, but that's one small part of it.
Yeah.
It's actually loving people that you don't like.
I think you have to be uncomfortable in order to do ministry. I think if you're comfortable doing ministry, you're doing something wrong. I think that...
Well, okay. I think you're right up into... I think this is what happens. It's hard, and then we get comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, we can still stay there and stay in our comfort, but our job...
It feels nice.
But we want to keep progressing, right? So what used to be uncomfortable now becomes comfortable. Now, how do I go to the next level?
Yeah.
And the next level, right? We could stay here and still do ministry or whatever,
but
it's not going to be as
it's
effective as if, it's going to stagnate.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep growing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said this before, but my favorite quote that's not scripture related, it's a quote from C.T. Studd, which is, some want to hear about church, some want to hear the sound of church bells and church rings, but not I. I want to run a rescue shop at the gates of hell. And I mean, if we had to put, the way how I view ministry, if I had to put a slogan on, that's how I would view it, know. And I think a lot of people,
what's an easier way to say that? What is because that's like
not be comfortable in your small groups with like-mindedness, like-minded people, but actually go out to someone that's different than you, or out to someone that's may see things differently than you.
Yeah, so I think that's an application.
Yeah,
that would be an application. I think what if we were to put it in not fancy words, it would be see people the way Jesus does and understand the urgency or the reality of heaven and hell, and our urgency to tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also just means not assuming, that this person thinks this thing, or, this kid drinks and all this stuff, or what have yous. So I'm assuming doesn't want to follow Christ. And
I think that's where we also get into judgment, which is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I was thinking something else and I forgot, but either way, we don't want to judge people. We don't want to assume they are because they're doing this or that. Listen, we're all different, and we're all at different phases in our journey. Our job is to love God and to love people.
Yeah,
right. That's it, and that's what we have to focus on. And I think the more you get to know somebody on a personal level, the more opportunity you earn to tell Jesus about them. Right. So we have to be people that start getting personal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what this whole series is. That's what Jesus did.
And being personal, to others would be, looking past their assumptions and loving them where they're at. Fine.
Yeah. Don't make assumptions.
When you're in the cafeteria, instead of sitting with your friends, maybe go to the table that doesn't really have enough attention. Do that. So that would be something that would be, personal to others. And then something that would be personal for yourself would be just talking to Jesus about what matters to you, And the more we talk to him, the more personal he will become. So like,
Yeah, we don't have to think that Jesus only cares about certain aspects of our lives.
yeah.
Right? Jesus cares about all of it.
Yeah,
He cares
the more-
about real life.
Yeah, so I would say the more that you're getting in the Word and the more that you're talking to God and all that stuff, He's going to give you your heart. He's going to give you His heart and all this stuff to others, about others, and hopefully break those assumption walls and all this stuff. But, I mean, with all that being said, assuming's not good, Chris.
Yeah, we know what that does, but we're not going to say it. So,
It makes
anyways,
us...
it makes us have to wrap this up
makes us
because those
wrap it
cameras
up.
about to turn off.
But that's what we have today. I hope this made sense.
Hey, just love people.
Just love people. Just love people.
Don't
where they're
judge
at.
them.
Don't judge them. Don't be
Just
jerks.
be Jesus.
Yeah, just
If you don't know what that means,
Yeah.
read about it.
read about it.
Read about Jesus and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah,
and then
and
just
if
be
you're
that.
confused, I think we have an email. Just email us at whatever. And
Imperfect together
or
at
you
gmail.com.
comment how this changed your life, and we would appreciate that too. All right. Well, this is Zach. This is Chris. Bye.
Bye.